Hello, my name is Raphael von Raven. Anyway, I want to talk to you about a verse in the Bible, about text supposedly referring to the antichrist, and how the translation might not be entirely correct. Um, Before mock my efforts or discount them too soon, I would like to show you Adam and Eve in their Hebrew forms right here. Ed or Aleph D M Aleph Shem H. It's not E V H. It's E Sh H. The Aleph is sometimes considered an A, but in Meroitic Egyptian, where the Hebrew Bible got its forms for the Hebrew, came from, the Aleph was more of an E sound. And in fact, you can see the A sound right here, right by the M. That's an A. And it's recognized as an A. So why would they have two A's? So they consider it something unpronounceable, like a dumb. Well, there's already a known after every single letter. That's what saves time in Hebrew. So what is it? It's probably an E. So Adam's name was Edom, and Eve's name was Asha, if you consider it an A. But if it's an E as it should be, it's Isha, or Esha. Okay, why is that important? It's not so important. Now, her name in Hebrew means fire, and Adam's name means earth. That's kind of interesting. Fire and earth. But what's the reason it's not translated as Isha is because when they were making the Septuagint, it's a hard word for me to say, and a Greek translation of the Hebrew that ended up being used by King James people to translate the Bible. Those people way in the past, before the King James people ever got it, changed it to Kahiva, which means cherished one or highly regarded, like diva in a way. Well, in a way, the thing is, I think they did it because they knew that the Babylonians might kill them if they took claim for their god Isha Ra or Ashtar Ra. It wouldn't take long to realize that Eve was the god that they were worshiping. So either they hid it to prevent being killed, or they hid it because they didn't want anybody to know. But yeah, her name is Isha. Who knows? It could be why we have the name Asia for, for everything east of Egypt. And somewhere near Israel could be where the Garden of Eden used to be. Who knows? But anyway, so we have Daniel 11:38. And the reason I bring that up is because the Bible was not always translated correctly. I want to show you the English here. 11:38. But in his estate shall he honor the God of forces, Eloah, and an Eloah whom his fathers knew not shall be honored with gold and silver and with precious stones and pleasant things. He shall do he shall do this in the strongholds with a strange God, whom he shall acknowledge and increase with glory, and he shall cause them to rule over many and divide the land for gain. Daniel 11:38 through 11:39. This is the Hebrew of 11:38, and it goes this way. You've got a Vav, a L, an Aleph, an L, an H, an M, an A Z, a Y, and an M. And in Hebrew, correctly translated, that would be Antu Allah, or not Allah, but Allah, of Ezyum. The YM is plural, so it'd be like in the M in front of the AZ means of. So, what is this God of forces that no one knew in the Hebrew days? Well, let's think about this. Is it the god Pan, who, well, I'm getting ahead of myself. If it was a god of forces and fortresses, there were already several gods of cities and city-states and fortresses, but they knew all those. So, if we look in the Hebrew at the word strong there, AZ, they're using the word ma'az. But we know the M is a of. Place, a fortress, something strong, mighty, fortified. Really? I don't know. Because under one of those titles, in the M's, is the word goat. But I'll show you the root of it, of strength in goat, in the A's where it belongs, over here. As strength, harsh, greedy, mighty power, rough, strong, a she-goat. Used for goat's hair, a goat or a kid. And it goes back to being strong, forceful, a burden. In some places it's considered a burden in the M, where the M's are, with goat too. And the thing about that is that it doesn't match up with the Hebrew. It doesn't match up with the Hebrew. And we got the of, and then we got a plural of what? Of strengths? I mean, they knew all these things. But if we take it at its word, and it's a god of goats, then we find something super, super interesting. Forgive me if you hear noises in the background. There are people up and furnaces coming off and on. There are two gods of goats that did not exist in the days when this was written. Pan and Dionysus were known, especially among the Greeks when they were in captivity. So, the other god of goats, the Muslims had a goat god that was part fish that became Capricorn, oddly enough. They helped kind of name the stars for a while. You should look into that stuff. It's pretty interesting. But anyway, let's say it is a goat. What goat god these people did not know? Well, there are two. And they are in our time period. One is Baphomet. In 1307, when the Knights Templar were being persecuted, they were accused of worshipping a Baphomet that really didn't look much like a goat. It was a skull with hair and weird stuff on it. And they were forced by fire to say they had worshipped it. And some of them gave in and said they did. Like 13 or 12, I should say. And then the rest died at the stake saying, no, we did not do that. So odds are that they didn't. And that it was contrived so that the power of the Knights Templar would be taken away. I'm not saying the Knights Templar are a good thing now. I don't honestly know. They could go either way. Just like the Freemasons. There's good people in every group. But there's evil. Evil people. Consider the Marxism going on right now by these politicians who are helping each other on both sides of Republicans and Democrats. Most of those are Freemasons. And that should tell you something. There's no peace in the lodges anymore. Who's winning the war there will win the war out here, I guess. But anyway, Baphomet that we know of that became more of a goat god happened about 100 or 150 years ago with Eliphas Levi, a French guy who decided to get into Kabbalah and learn Hebrew so he could do it. And he helped redesign the tarot cards, oddly enough. And he was a magician, and he taught transcendental magic. And he was one of the founders of Theosophy, which is transcendental magic, basically. And this is what Baphomet looks like. If I still got it up here. Mm-hmm. That is definitely considered a god to them. Even though they created it, they believed that this thing already existed, so they just wanted a form for it. Why did they choose the goat head? Because the devil supposedly had horns. And during the Knights Templar trials, that Baphomet image became famous and synonymous with the devil. So when Eliphas, I keep saying Elias. When Levi did it, he decided to make it a goat-headed demon god. There's one more. Some say it's the same thing. I don't exactly think so. The Freemasons themselves have what they call the Great Architect of the Universe. And they use GAOT to stand for that. They tease people with it who become initiated with them that they worship a goat. And technically, it's not a goat. I've also heard it called the God of all things. And that may be to appease Christians. Manly P. Hall, who I believe was a Freemason, wrote a book or helped edit a book and agreed that the GOAT, God of all things and Great Architect of the Universe, had its origins in Pan and Dionysus, which, as you know, was a horned being, was a goat god. Yeah. So this means that if the Hebrew is correct, and he worshipped a god of goats that no one knew about. And you know, goats can mean strength and stubbornness and burdensome. If you've ever tried to milk a goat, which I actually have, and cows, it's much easier to milk a cow than it is a goat. Well, anyway, a lot of Hebrew words start off and have allusions to animals and being heavy and burdened or burdensome. One of them is a goat. So, what do you think? Do you think it's a god of fortresses or a god of forces? And that these same people that translated Eve's name away from Isha and Asha, do you think they got this one right? When they did not call it a goat god, but just forces. And if there's an antichrist floating around, or someone who thinks he is, if he's in great power, he could very well be a Freemason and worship a goat after all. Pan, Dionysus, god of all things. I think it actually would be Baphomet, though. Because it truly is a goat god. It was unknown even most of our century. What's it called? Our millennial. And it's very demonic. Of course, there's witches out there that say it just represents all things, you know. Yeah. You should really get in, you shouldn't. Just stay away from the occult because They love lying to people and hiding information. And let me warn you about one more thing: channeling. Most of these religions didn't have channeling in them, but even now, there's people saying you need to speak to your archangel, channel your archangel. And in Wicca, there's been a great movement for channeling, actually brought by the Theosophy people, by Eliphas Levi's followers later on. And yeah, if you get into witchcraft, they won't tell you at first that they actually do worship Pan or Dionysus or Diana. But most of the rituals were centered around that and created by people that were into this magic, the Order of the Golden Dawn. I've studied a lot of this because I've had to fight a lot of occultists online in chat rooms and such that were hurting my fellow Christians, and I told them, they were mocking us about the Bible and everything. And I said, all right, I'll listen to you. If you think something was wrong, let me look it up. And if it was, I admitted it, and I said, it doesn't change anything, or it does. Most of the time, it didn't change anything, and actually was a better witness against the things they were saying. But when I went into their religion and confronted them with their paradoxes, they got very angry. They wouldn't listen. They were extreme hypocrites. You see, they don't want to know the flaws in their theories and beliefs. They want the power that comes with it, and they don't want to think about where it comes from and who they hurt. If anybody wants to to teach you channeling, and it's becoming a part of Buddhism even, those people are lying to you. They just want to control you with voices from who knows where. Don't do it. And if anybody wants you to worship them, make them come down to you in person and then ask them where they stand on whether it's better to give as a way of life or to take as a way of life. Because ultimately, the source of evil is selfishness. Now, the root of many evils in the Greek, in one of Paul's letters, I believe, said, listed some evils and then or troubles, and said the love of money was the root of all these evils. Well, that's what it says in Greek. In English, it says the root of all evil. Of course, they left that in there because, like the church, the royalty wanted to keep the money for themselves. So money became pure evil. This guy, does he look like he needs money? Do you think God needs your money? It's good to support your church and fellow human beings through the church. But it's also good to create a life and to have money and not to give your power away so that people can take you over in a revolution of Marxism and communism and lie about that. I mean, how many countries do you know that are Marxist and communist that don't have billionaires and millionaires? So where's the equality? These people are behind Marxism and communism. These are the elite. These goat worshippers who run the countries and the nations. Whether it's Baphomet they worship, or a grand architect, or secretly a Christian, like my grandfather was in the Masons. Some of them worship goats. It's a god that the Hebrew people didn't know about. Kind of fits the Hebrew really well. And fits our time period really well, don't you think? Well, anyway, that's my video, and I hope that you enjoyed it. I'm working on a fairy book, so I keep Tink out to remind me and to inspire me. But anyway, I wish the best for you, and I hope that if you think this information is valuable, that you spread it, please. Share it. I don't get money for this, and even if I got money, it would be so little it wouldn't mean anything because I'm going to put it on Rumble too. And if I did get enough money from it, I would donate it. But I'm not getting anything from it. I don't plan on collecting it on this in a way. And yeah, there's definitely a God that nobody knew about for a long, long time. And I wish us all luck.